Hi, my name is Samantha Tab, and this is my Module 13 case study, A Good Teacher Turns Bad. Um, so after reading through the case study, I'm going to first identify the problem and I'm going to analyze it. First, I'm going to tell you what I know. So I divided it up into three categories, so the school and the area. I know the school is Crestview Elementary. It's a rural area. It is one of three elementary schools in the district. Jean Wilson is the principal. There are 18 classroom teachers, a media center specialist, a counselor, 2 special education teachers, and 3 aides. The school also has really good attendance, above average test scores, and it is piloting a new reading curriculum. So what do I know about the students and the families? The parents are generally happy with the school. I do know that in this case study or this situation that parents contacted the school about a teacher's verbal abuse, late arrivals, and refusal to hold parent-teacher conferences. Parents started calling the Board of Education members to complain after calling the school, and parents wanted their kids out of this specific teacher's classroom. And that because of all of this, or the way the teacher is acting, the students do not want to come to school. Next, so I'm going to talk about the teacher. So what do I know about Miss Horton? She is a first grade teacher. She is a seasoned professional who was teacher of the year. She is stressed. She is less friendly than usual. She is argumentative. She has a hard time at home because her husband left. She was left with 2 teenage boys. She is noticeably absent and often late to work. And then she does not appreciate the new reading curriculum, and she yelled in a meeting that was held with the principal and a dad. So there are many things that I need to know about this situation. I'm wondering here, are the colleagues noticing the verbal abuse of the children in her classroom? Have colleagues complained? Is this even a real thing that's happening? Are the allegations true? What specifically does Ms. Horton need help with? I feel like that's very important. Is she receiving help outside of school? Why is she late to school? Is she taking a different route? Why is she continuously late? And why is she not doing parent-teacher conferences? And also, I would want to know the policies on verbal abuse, tardiness. I'd just look up the policies if I were the building leader. Also, I was wondering, or what I need to know is, have there already been conversations with Ms. Horton about her lash outs and the way that she treats other people in the building? So I have come to the problem identification. I have used the onion effect. So I feel like the outer layer is the number one problem. So this might not have been expected or known if the parents weren't complaining. So problem number 1 is that the parents were complaining about Ms. Horton. And then the problem number 2, because the parents were complaining, we have realized that Ms. Horton is allowing her home life to affect her school life. She's not being professional. She's late. She lashes out to other people. And then underneath that, there will be many other problems, like her treating kids in her classroom abusively and, things like that. So it's the onion effect. There's the outer layer of how we found out about the problem, and then you peel it back and there's another problem, and then another problem, and then another problem. And that's usually how things like this work. So then number 2, the plan of action. So this is my plan of action. So I started with problem number 2 because I felt like I needed to talk about Ms. Horton first. So I first would find the policies that were regarding this issue. I would use a check-in system for arrival times, that maybe she would need to check in with a certain person. It wouldn't have to be the building leader. It could just be someone that's holding her accountable for arriving to school on time. I would literally document everything. I would address her behavior. Is her behavior preventable? What can we help her with to make her more successful within the classroom? And then after having that conversation, I would document again. Since the superintendent had talked to, sorry, that's my dog, Jameson. Because the superintendent has addressed the issue, I would address the superintendent after having a conversation with the teacher, and then maybe ask for advice, like, where do I go from here, depending. I feel like this principal is a new principal, so everyone has things to learn, so the superintendent would know how to go about the situation. I would interview students. I would do more walkthroughs in her classroom, giving her immediate feedback. I would put maybe possibly, I'm kind of torn about this, an improvement plan. That's why I would feel like I needed to know on the last slide, has there already been honest conversations about this? Because if there has, and it's still the issue is not fixed, then that's when the improvement plan would come. But I'm not just going to go like crazy, like in all of a sudden put her on an improvement plan. I feel like honest conversations need to happen first. And then I would say if these things don't change, these are the consequences. Okay? Like I would just make that very, very clear. So now going back to, it says problem number 2, but it's really problem number 1. I would then talk to the parents individually. I would make a decision about the students leaving the class. I would follow through with the decision, and then probably the hardest part would be sticking to the plan, because there will be so many people just talking, and a lot of influence. And it would just be important for a building leader to just say, this is it, and this is the plan I'm sticking to. And then just like a little side note here, I would have PD opportunities for the whole staff about how to take care of yourselves so situations like this don't happen. And that I would find out the resources that were available, and then possibly have a counselor chat about, taking care of yourself and the importance of all of that. I feel like the counselor could definitely, help us out with that. So number 3, it's resolve the issues based on promoting the success of all students. So first of all, honest conversations. That is my favorite thing to do. I feel like it probably, depending on if there was honest conversations before, it'd be often and sooner. It needed to be sooner so that we didn't get to this point. Then like support, like what can we help the teacher with? Because if we can help the teacher, we're helping the students. It would then be important to set clear expectations for teaching as far as like content. It seems to be classroom management. Verbally abusing kids is a classroom management issue, and that is not appropriate, which leads to the next thing, which is professionalism. It is not professional to yell at kids. It is not professional to yell at the people around you and all of that. So all of that, I would need to be setting clear expectations so that the teacher was set up for success, which in turn would be what's best for students. I would possibly advise her to record herself, because there has been so many times where I've recorded myself and I'm like, I did not realize that I did that, or that I do that. And then I'm like, oh man, I'm going to change that. So that might be important. Maybe she doesn't realize that she's acting like that. So recording herself might be help. And I wouldn't ask to see that. That would just be like a personal thing that she would need to do. I would have constant check-ins, and I would definitely be giving constant feedback. So when it comes to the observations that I would be doing in the classroom, it would be like informal. And I would hold her accountable by like having a pre and a post, and, we kind of talk about things. But it also might be beneficial for Miss Horton to have a mentor or like a co-teacher that she can rely on, so that it doesn't have to be as intimidating. I could only imagine if my principal was just the only person that I had to talk to about an issue, it would be very beneficial to have someone that is your equal, that you can confide in. I think that's very important. I would make sure, if this wasn't already, that parent-teacher conferences are a requirement. And I would possibly attend those, or maybe her mentor or buddy co-teacher could attend those, or the instructional coach or something. I was kind of confused about that, but I'll talk about that later. And then I would have a check-in policy to make sure that she's coming to work on time. So as I'm sitting here, I'm on number 4, and I'm reflecting on the whole situation. My thoughts are, is this real? Like, does this really happen? How is it acceptable for a teacher not to hold parent-teacher conferences? It's always been a requirement where I'm at, and I just think it's really interesting that someone feels like that they don't have to do that. Why did no one know about the tardiness at work? I don't really know that they didn't know, but it wasn't clear as far as like that they had handled the situation. Why does the teacher think that it's appropriate to talk to a parent like that? When I read that, I had so many emotions going on, and I was just like, no matter how bad the situation is, you can't treat people like that. And then why has no one confronted her about her bad attitude, like about yelling or just being unkind or snappy? Why hasn't someone said something? And then why haven't the kids said anything to anyone at school? That also wasn't clear in the case study. And then how were the kids feeling? Like, if I was a kid in that class, I a first grade, that's like 6 and 7 year olds. They are so impressionable and they want to please their teacher. But if their teacher is always being mean or being mean some of the time, that's just such an age where I'm like, it's not appropriate for any kid, but man, these young kids, they really look to their teachers for role models and support, emotional support, when they can't even control their own actions and behaviors and verbal cues. It's, I feel like your teacher needs to be pretty like straightforward, and this is it. So then going back to the feelings, I feel like the last slide, and I just kind of combined those, but I wrote different things. So I felt sad that Miss Horton is going through such a tough time. It's hard when you're a teacher and you're going through a bad time to just shut it down, but that's something that I feel like you need to go into teaching thinking. I just hate that someone like that would be going through that. And then I feel sad that the kids don't want to come to school, man. Oh my goodness. That is my worst fear, is that kids in my class don't want to come to school. I was upset that someone felt like they could talk to someone like that. You just don't talk to other people rudely, and you don't yell at them and snap at them. I mean, you can have honest conversations, but be respectful at the same time. And it really upsets me when people can't do that. It also upset me that no one was holding her accountable or possibly not having honest conversations with her. And that as a parent, I'm going on to number 5. I know I feel like I have so many emotions. But number 5, I was angry as a parent. If a teacher talked to me like that, man, I don't even know. But I was angry just even reading that. All right, moving on. I'm getting a little emotional now. What I valued about this was the reaction of Mrs. Wilson. I felt like she went at the situation, keeping everybody in mind, the students first, and then, obviously you have to, as a principal, you have to care about what the parents say, man. And even the teacher. So like, this is what we're going to do, and I'm going to be in there with you to support you. She's probably supporting the parent and the teacher at the same time. So I really valued the way that how she reacted. I valued that the parents were making complaints about something serious. I mean, if you're going to yell at my kid every day, I'm going to have a problem with that, and so many times parents don't believe that it's happening, or they don't say anything. And it's just so valuable to be an advocate for children. I also value just the students in general. Like, if that truly was going on in a classroom, I just value them for being kids in a classroom like that. And then this made me just reflect on just like myself. And if I was acting like that at my school, oh man, my Be Real With Me teaching friends would be like, Tab, you need to get it together. That is not appropriate. Like, we just call each other out respectively, and so that we're not making those mistakes, because we just love each other so much. So that just made me like value my teammates for just being real when we make mistakes. And then, so unresolved issues here. I felt like there was a lot of missing information. And then I just started thinking, like, is Miss Horton capable of accepting help? Like, does she even care? What the reaction of the superintendent, like what is he thinking? The reaction of the parents, or what are the laws that apply to this type of situation, which I will be looking up. So those were just little unresolved issues that I have come to find. All right, so then here we are. I'm going to reflect on standard 2. So promoting the academic success for all students is utmost very, very important, because if we didn't have students, like, we probably wouldn't have our jobs, or I know we wouldn't have our jobs. So I would just make sure, like, multiple walkthroughs, providing immediate feedback pre and post conferences. I know that would be a way to promote academic success. And then a plan to make sure that she's on time. Like, if you're not on time, you're wasting instructional time, or you're wasting your time. If you're coming in a frazzled mess every day, you're not utilizing the most important minutes of the day, like the morning. That is the face of the morning. That is the way the day is going to go. Not always, but most of the time. If your teacher is very happy at the beginning of the day, you're coming in and you're like, you know what? Something bad happened at home, but guess what? My teacher's smiling at me. And if you're late, that is not setting kids up for success. Improvement plan, if that was necessary based on